Hey guys, how we doing? Hope everyone's having a great off season.
Question for Coach. Coach, now that you guys have had a couple months to kind of reflect on that and this Syracuse team, how have you and the return you use that experience from the NCAA tournament kind of propel you this off season and going forward?
Yeah, I just think that's kind of the standard. We set the tone with what we want to do, how we want to compete year in year out, and put ourselves in a position to play in the postseason, play in the NCAA tournament. I think the experience of that was very valuable. Starting again to set the tone, and then for younger guys in the program to gain that experience, hopefully will pay dividends. And now we have a new team and a new crop of guys coming in, and they saw what happened last year, and now that's the challenge to stay hungry, to stay motivated, to want to break new ground and do a better job in other areas of the season that we need to address and improve as we move forward.
Got a couple five stars coming in, a couple transfers that some are projected to be NBA draft pick, second round picks. On paper, is this your most talented group? At the end of the day, what does that mean here in June?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it like this was going to be the year. Maybe before last season, I had a pretty good suspicion that we would exceed expectations for maybe what people thought for last year. But really deep down, I thought this was the year that in terms of having the size on the front court and then having a high level recruiting class. And it's been anywhere from 7 to 10, I guess, in a lot of publications where our recruiting class is shaken out for 2018. But then you add Rob Edwards and Zylan Cheatham to that class, and it's made it a lot stronger. So, we lose 3 guys that were critical to what we did, very key players to what we're building here, and with Trey, Shannon, and Cody. But we're replacing them with 6 guys that I think are very capable. So it's I'm going to take this whole summer to really spend a lot of time looking at the team and evaluating the team. I don't have one set way that I force my players to play. It's determined by your roster and what that looks like and the makeup and how everyone mixes, and then we'll come up with the best way that we need to play this season.
How was your summer as a coach different? When you have so many parts coming in, as opposed to maybe just like last summer when you had senior late backcourt, you kind of knew what you had. What is this time of year like for you?
I think it's more about the players, and it's about getting better. It's getting in the gym. We started workouts last week, and the high school guys are starting to filter in now as they finish up academically, and we start summer session, and it gives me a great opportunity to get a feel for the new guys on the floor and working with them, and then watching the whole thing get put together. As much as I'll be teaching and coaching, I'll be evaluating and trying to learn from the guys as much as I can. I love it. It's always one of the highlights for me, and it's I work with my staff on that. The assistant coaches have input and feedback, and Dave Cohen, who works with us, certainly spends a lot of time on scheduling as well, and we're very close to wrapping it up. We're still 1 game short right now. We're working on that, but again, it's very challenging just to play 3 true road games. 2 versus 2 SEC opponents, and then to have a neutral site game against a projected, top 10 team in Nevada, and then, you have Kansas coming here. So it's a lot of exciting things for sure.
I don't have to tell you what the Pac-12 record is. Obviously, it's nothing it has to be. When you look at that 2034 regular season, is there anything that you guys are going to consider maybe doing differently, whether it's travel, practice time, harder, lighter? I mean, is there anything you can kind of mix up there besides just playing better?
Yeah, I mean, we got I think last year we had such a strong start, and then we're right on the road for a majority of the games to start league play, and I felt like we were fighting an uphill battle, and never could gain the same type of momentum we had early in the year. So we got to do a better job of that, and that's on my radar certainly. We got to close games better. I think we found ways to lose some very tight games, overtime games, and our record could have been very different if we had done a better job in those situations. If there isn't, I'll try and create it, and make sure it's there. And it's just, you gotta stay very motivated, very hungry. I have a ton of respect, for the conference, for the Pac-12, for college basketball overall, and the teams we're going to compete against. So if we're not hungry and getting better as a program and pushing to advance ourselves, then someone's going to be ready to knock us down. And I just think last year we were under the radar, especially initially, and now we're not anymore. I noticed teams were ready for us competing in conference just because of how well we did in the non-conference. So we're not the secret's out. We have good players. We had a great season last year. We got to make sure we're ready to do it again. Well, I mean, I try and get the best players on the floor, a lot, as much as possible. And as it turned out last year, 3 of those guys or 4 of those guys were 6'4" or under, when you add Remy to the seniors. So I think the way our roster's constructed and built this year, we're going to be bigger even at the guard positions. Just, Lou Gans-Dort, 6'4", 215, and Rob Edwards, 6'4", 200. And so those are big guards, and then we have real good size at the wing positions. Mickey Mitchell, Kamani Lawrence, Zylan Cheatham has been outstanding, in the off season so far. I love what I'm seeing from him. So we're just going to have more options, more depth, on our front court. Yeah, I mean, I think it's more of, my motivation will be, all right, well, this is what we did last year. Like, what are you guys going to do to make your own stamp, on the program? And the target is, hey, we won 20 games, went to the tournament, and had a great non-conference. What's this team going to do to surpass that? I'm not as concerned about necessarily what other programs are doing or what they think of us, but what are we doing to continue to advance what we're doing here? Yeah, I mean, Remy is, he gained my trust right away last year and didn't play like a freshman. So he's ready for it. He's been working hard, and we've only had a short time with him this week. So, but he didn't look like he missed a beat, really. And I think he knows. It's pretty clear when you lose, 3 guys that are very important at his position, and we have some talented guys, in the backcourt, but Remy's a guy that I know is, gonna run the team and do a great job. Yeah, I mean, I think Mickey really showed glimpses of what he could do. Is just his tenacity, how tough he played. He fought through a lot of injury late in the year, which we didn't talk a lot about as the season ended. So just want to get him injury free, and but he's a great passer, and with our team this year, I could see him in some scenarios where he's some point forward, initiating offense because of his ability to pass. And like any player that's been here a year, you just expect them to keep taking steps, and getting better, as Trey Holder did, and Cody Justice and Shannon Evans, all those guys throughout the course of their career did that. And I would suspect, Mickey's got a great work ethic, and I'm sure he's going to continue to make advancements. When I first started the 4-guard thing, I hadn't done it, so I was just kind of like nervous about how it would all work out. I had played multi-guards at Buffalo, but never 4, and So I learned how to adapt and play that way, and it's not necessarily, even how I played my second year at Buffalo when we had a more traditional front court with two guards, and we would throw the ball inside, and we had balance on offense. So, like, that's what I was used to doing as far as coach. So I think this year's roster just gives me a ton of options to play a lot of different ways. But I mean, I could see scenarios that there's 5 guys out there that are 6'7" or bigger, which I've never had here.
You had such highly regarded bigs. What's the process of analyzing that as far as managing their expectations?
Yeah, I mean, we want them to to be confident, to come in and make their mark, and guys like Tayshaun Cherry already made a great impression on me in workouts this week, and he doesn't look like a freshman. How he plays, how he moves, his skill level, and he's not intimidated. That's a difference kind of maybe from when I played. A lot of the freshmen now that are highly regarded, like Tayshaun or Lou Gantz, have played against the top competition and have shown that they could compete at the highest level versus those type of players. So they're not going to be intimidated with coming into college. But it's just getting everyone to buy into the team and to talk about role identification as you start to figure out how everything's going to come together, and that's the process throughout the whole summer.
In that regard, you need to, in 2018, you need to manage some of these 5-star type kids a little differently than maybe 20 years ago. Players are so quick, they get so many different voices, they're quick to transfer, jump here, they're quick to jump there.
Yeah.
Is that part of the coaching deal here in 2018?
I mean, we just want to coach well and do things that make sense, that the guys feel like they're getting better and improving and as players and developing and focusing on staying in the moment. I think guys maybe get hung up with, well, what am I going to be doing next year? Am I going to be able to put my name in a draft? And just trying to, manage expectations and just keep guys focused on, again, just day by day improving in workouts and training and not think too much into the future.
You talk about being having more size, part of that's the 7-footer. How is that going to change the dynamic?
Yeah, I mentioned with Uros, we're excited about him. There aren't too many guys that have his skill set that are 7 feet that can move, and that's the difference for me. I'm not type of coach that necessarily would love a plodding 7-footer. He's got great footwork and he can change ends and he's mobile, so he fits into how we like to play. But there's not a ton of pressure on him because we have experienced front court guys and depth in the front court. So he's going to progress, as at his pace. And again, I'll have a better feel for him as I start watching this summer. But he's got great upside. Oh, it was a major success, for me. Just I think that we really exceeded a lot of expectations early and just built a whole new set. But I think the greatest proof that it was a success is just being in the community and seeing people, and whether it's at the gym where I work out in the morning and people are enthusiastic about Arizona State basketball, and they're now following our recruiting and seeing who we're bringing in, and guys are stopping me and talking about the guys that are coming into the program. So I just take a lot of pride in that, and knowing that there's a buzz, there's an enthusiasm about what we're doing, and there's steps that you take. It's rare that you make a from nowhere to the Final Four type move. So for us as a program to get in the tournament, get a taste of that experience, that's all you want. You want to give yourself a chance to get there, and from there you got to make the most of it. And I think about the Syracuse game a lot. The numbers 49-42 jump into my head a lot during that game as just the way the game was played and how much time was left and low scoring. I felt great about where we were. We didn't get the win there. I just would have loved to see what would have been next, and that's always the regret that you feel as a coach when the season ends. But overall it was a great step in the right direction for us.
Frontcourt looked at the new roster, talked about it because it's a good headache, but do you feel that that's your biggest challenge this year, figuring out the rotation starting off?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of responsibility on my part to manage that and just figure out what the best combinations are. And there's going to be a lot of competition in practice, which I think is going to elevate things and make us better. I think that was the biggest thing that changed last year, which is the practices were so much better. The transfers that were sitting out, our second unit challenged the first unit every day, and that put us in a position to play better basketball as the season started. And I think we'll have a similar effect this year, just with the depth of talent we have. Yeah. So yeah, the draft for me was special. I never felt like the season ended. Really, my college season, I was back in the gym getting ready for workouts and just did a ton of traveling to a bunch of teams. A lot of these prospects are going through. But it was an exciting time to meet with a lot of teams, try and get a feel for where I was going. I remember the day before the draft and the day of the draft, I just wanted to put myself in a bubble just to make sure nothing happened to me. It's just I did go for a run. I like to do that. So other than that, I don't think I left my hotel room the day of the draft. Just again, to make sure that my name was going to get called that night. And yeah, I mean, things changed. I think I bought a tie in the mall like 2 days before to go with the suit that I wore. And everyone's more fashion oriented these days. So that's probably been a change. The draft, unfortunately for me, I'm a Jersey guy, New York guy, so the draft was in Michigan the year I was selected. It was in Auburn Hills, and we had just beaten the Fab Five three straight times. So when my name was called, there's a chorus of boos. They didn't like Duke very much in Michigan back then. But yeah, it was a great experience. I talked to all our players about it, recruits, just the feeling of going up to shake the commissioner's hand, 7th pick, and it's an unbelievable feeling. Changes your life and all the work you put in. So excited for all the prospects tomorrow for sure. Excited for our players. I think regardless of if all of them are drafted or none of them are, I think they're all on track to have great careers as pros. And Trey, Shannon, and Cody, and just excited for them. Moving forward, Ayton, I mean, I think I've been clear on where I stand on him. He's what he was able to do against us, pretty special, and it's hard to knock anything. The one thing that I will say is I've watched a lot of film on Doncic over the last 2 weeks, and the guy is unbelievable. Just his skill level, his shot making, his mind for the game, and his basketball instincts. He's, it would make me think, but certainly Ayton is a premier prospect for sure.
With something that players working now, what advice on the possible journey that may not involve going to the draft, maybe going G League or overseas to get back?
Yeah, I think the thing about my players, Trey, Shannon, and Cody, they never had the silver spoon or something. Those guys were always the underdog, and they always overachieved. And along the way, they've passed a bunch of guys that were rated ahead of them, and whatnot. So they've had great careers, and I think teams will recognize how competitive those guys are, how good they are off the dribble, creating. I think that's what the NBA has become, the league that you need to be able to beat your man and make a play. And all three of those guys could do that. I think they will all have a chance to help an NBA team at a certain point. But they're going to fight for it because they did for me, every time we played. And, they've been hungry and working hard and preparing for the next step, and they're going to be very successful. I just think, I'm not going to have to talk as much about rebounding as I've talked about the last couple of years. Every day, I've just had to ingrain to compensate for the size was to just get these guys to think about rebounding all the time, and so just having more size, guys that could go get the basketball. I think we're going to be a much better rebounding team. I think we have the potential to be by far the best defensive team that I've coached here, just with the type of athletes we have at that end of the floor. I mean, like any guy, there's a series of things you got to address, and Romello, we've talked to him about a few things. His face-up game, I'd like to see him, face up a little more, be able to extend his range. He's got a decent shooting touch, and he needs to, be consistent about developing that. His free throw shooting has got to improve, and he's got to just take a bigger step. It's he's going to have more responsibility now. That we need to replace a significant amount of scoring. So like any player that's going from freshman to sophomore year, again, you just hope that they advance their game and they take another step forward.
Did he hit a wall last year? Disparity quality range, not conference. I saw he had 20 passes for non-conference.
Yeah.
There was a real. That might have been the biggest difference in overall he plays.
Yeah, he again, I don't want to make excuses, but he fought through some stuff. He had a toe that we were managing, and different things that you have going on during the course of the year, and then it happens for younger players, as you may not necessarily be at the same level that you were at other times. The length of the season gets you, the level of the competition, certainly has something to do with it. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, and I think he'll be able to do a better job of sustaining what he did early in the season, hopefully throughout the whole season this year. We're gonna explore every possibility. I mean, we've gone transfers, guys sitting out. We've obviously had some international guys, and I think it fits our school. Our school's a melting pot. We have students from all over the world here, and it makes sense. And it's not a bad option for a kid to want to come to Arizona State with everything the school has to offer. So. Yeah, I mean, Lou Gantz is another guy, a Canadian. That's a great country now for recruiting talent, and so we hope to do a great job with Lou, and that might spearhead other guys wanting to come to Arizona State.
Now you mentioned that previous practices used to be much better. Have you at least compared to the previous season, been able to find something that have used to have the most?
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry. Yeah, I think the difference was in the transition. When I was referring to my first year into the second year, we just had some turnover in the program, guys that didn't stay, and you're bringing in new guys, and so our second unit sometimes was walk-ons competing against the first unit, which doesn't necessarily prepare or push the guys enough to get better. I thought last year was our best year in terms of being deeper, in our roster, and this year. For the first time, we actually have 12 guys at the moment that would be eligible to play next year. So it's going to, again, create more competition, in our workouts, because it's not like I'm kind of going in with a blank slate, and guys are going to compete and earn, playing time and their position, their role, and that doesn't just happen on me watching one workout or 1 week. It's really a 2 to 3 month process of evaluating our team and seeing what's going to make sense for this year. So, but just having those 12 guys, it's going to enable us to, just to have the competition and high level workouts. Yeah, I mean, you want to train at a high level. It's you want to prepare. It's You know, it's like if you don't study for a test and then you go to the test and you have no idea what the answers are. You know, these guys are in the gym and they're working on their game and they're trying to get better. And you know, if they're putting time in on their shooting and they're shooting hundreds of shots a day, and then chances are they're going to make their shot when the lights are on, or have confidence to take a good shot. And so we're trying to create a culture of work and getting better and doing that on the practice floor, and that'll translate to results on the court. Yeah, again, that's gonna sort itself out, through the workouts, the training. I think we have a good mixture of young guys that are coming in with confidence that I think could compete at a high level in college basketball right away, and then we have returning players that again had a chance to be a part of a successful season, 20-win season, NCAA tournament. Guys like Zylan Cheatham and Rob Edwards had a lot to do with our success last year, even though they didn't play, because they were pushing our guys in practice every day and were frequently some of the better players in the gym every time we do a workout. So having those guys in uniform, and they're hungry, they've had to sit out and not have an opportunity to play, so they're chomping at the bit to play. And so that'll all develop as we go. Remy Martin, people want to follow Remy because he just plays so hard, and he's all over the court and plays with great energy. So he's a leader in his own way. So I mean, it'll work itself out though throughout the summer. I mean, we're not going to be like we were last year. So we're not going to have to rely as much on the three-point line. I do feel like we have guys that can make that shot, but we have some other guys that do things that this past year's team couldn't do. So for what we might give up in some areas, I think we're going to gain in others. I mean, we have one scholarship open. Most likely we would keep it open. Can't say 100% there, but that's most likely the situation. Yeah, I think it's going to be a major plus just to, modernize the facility, and again, we're ecstatic about the commitment, Ray Anderson, Dave Cohen, our administration, to make that a priority, to get Wells Fargo, updated, and I know our fans are going to appreciate that as well. In addition to, the recruiting push that's going to help, because that's a major thing with kids, just seeing where they're going to play and what it looks like, and if it's at the standards that your competitors are at. So we're in the process of getting there. So that's exciting. It's hard to gauge that now, and I'll have to look deeper into that. There are teams that have lost some to the NBA this year, and like all of us, we're at the beginning stages of figuring that out now. So I'm just going to concentrate on what we have coming in and try and figure out what we're doing, and then as I have a better handle on that, I might branch out and just try and see what everyone else is doing. Makes sense. But that's awesome. Thanks for coming out, guys. This is great. Now I got to get back to camp and make sure everything's going well there. So thanks, guys.